welcome to Labour Lens. I am Sharon Ijason. On this week edition of the program, we'll be discussing about child labour and the several challenges an average African child is faced with. One of the worst forms of child labour is child prostitution. We'll be discussing all about this and possibly preferring solutions to the vice in the country. We will be right back.
It's been a long-drawn battle between the federal government and university teachers. The leadership of ASUU announced the commencement of an indefinite strike by its members nationwide on the 23rd of March 2020. Rejected the alleged use of force by the authorities to enroll its members in the IPPIS, a payroll software it described as not suitable for the university system. Other issues included non-implementation of the 2009 agreement, unpaid accumulated earned academic allowance, unpaid university revitalization fund, and the non-existence of visitation panels over the years. The impact of the strike became evident after the ease of lockdown occasioned by the outbreak of COVID-19. Then, the real standoff between the government and ASUU began. Several meetings which dovetailed into the early hours of the morning between the government and the teachers took place. But ASUU remained adamant even in the face of threats by the government until after the last meeting between both parties on Tuesday. After about 8 hours behind closed doors, the government was delighted and end to the strike was in sight.
We've had very incisive deliberations. We've dotted some T's and I's in the last proposal given to them by government, and areas of concern have been also addressed.
But the leadership of ASUU insisted only its appropriate organ can take decision for the union.
Union is as concerned as any other Nigerian about the problems in our universities and the need to restore normalcy as quickly as possible.
The Industrial Global Union Nigeria Council has called on the federal government to initiate sustainable policies and promote industrial development in the country. The union sought government intervention in initiating such policies. It pointed out that there were so many policies negatively affecting industrialization in Nigeria. The chairperson of Industrial Global Union Nigeria Council, Babatunde Olatunji, gave this position at a press briefing in Lagos, following the union's findings during familiarization visit to the Dangote Refinery project at the Lekki Free Trade Zone. Ahead of the 1st of January 2021 takeoff of the African Continental Free Trade Area, Labour leaders are of the view that Africa must industrialize to achieve this without relying on international markets.
There shall be massive food production, while cash crops shall equally constitute raw materials for our manufacturing sector and for exportation. Nigeria urgently needs to industrialize by involving good economy. The Nigeria affiliate of Industrial Hub Global Union applaud Alhaji Aliko Dangote effort towards industrializing Nigeria and by extension Africa. We recommend him for Industrial Development Ambassador Award.
It's better for us to have investment patriotism. We should be able to invest in our country. We should be talking of how are the African developing Africa. I think Aliko is developing Africa through industrialization. And I think it's in our best interest to support that. In that project also, there is already 1,100 kilometers of pipelines, deep sea pipeline, which will be taking gas directly from Niger Delta. Am I communicating? To fire that plant. And it's also connected to West Africa. This is one of the biggest investments taking place in the world today. So I think it's in our best interest to support that. The electric
cannot effectively industrialize without power. Aliko Dangote is doing what he's doing because he has the muscles and he has the law for the country. If he has depended on the public power, Nigerian power, Aliko will not build any refinery. He first built a power station, 400 megawatts. After using what he wants, the balance will serve 5 states of the Federation. They are Oyo, Ogun, Osun, Kwara, and Ekiti. And all these states are under Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company. I want to flow along with my leaders for us to give support to Aliko Dangote.
Upon completion, the Dangote Refinery is capable of employing 300,000 direct workers. Industrial Global Union represents 50 million workers from 140 countries of the world in the mining, energy, and manufacturing sectors.
Mo máa ń fagbó, mo máa ń lá signal, mo dẹ̀ máa ń lo codeine. Torí pé tọkùnrin bàbá yẹn ní sex, téèyàn bá lo gbogbo nǹkan yẹn, ara máa kàn yàn bẹ́ẹ̀. Téèyàn bá ti lò kò ní dùn yàn púpọ̀.
Those guys, they can't pass almost 15, 16, 17. Even those guys, their age can still look to those boys.
Mo kì í gbéyàn jìyàn méjì lọ.
Sexual activity is often seen as a private matter, making communities reluctant to act or intervene in cases of sexual exploitation. These attitudes make children more vulnerable to sexual exploitation. For months, I have been investigating how underage children operate as sex workers across the 3 major geopolitical zones in Nigeria. Here is what I found. In Lagos and Abuja, underage sex workers rarely ply their trade in brothels or hotels. Rather, they operate from their homes or hostels. The only exception is in slum areas. But in some parts of northern Nigeria, most of the underage girls who engage in it hang around brothels, hotels, and clubs. In Ilorin, north central Nigeria, underage girls are found in hotels, brothels, and hostels, apartments, and clubs. It follows a similar pattern in southeast Nigeria, particularly Imo State. There, they are found in clubs, hotels, brothels, strippers club, among others.
Those guys, they can't pass almost 15, 16, 17 with my last one.
They're age mate.
Yes, they are 8 years. Even those guys, their age can still look to those boys. And the two guys, very fine guys. To city gates, even not from all this area. That is what they are doing here. Even the one they are grown up, all the young ladies, they are in the main road in the city.
That's the feel of how society seems to be silent on the issue of confronting the vice of children selling their body in return for cash. Tokpe Lasisi, not a real name, is one of them. She is only 17 and has been in the sex trade for about 5 years now. I met the mother of a 2-year-old boy in Lagos. When she is not going to meet her clients in brothels, this is where she brings them. The dimly lit wooden shack is packed with condoms, cigarette, Riesler, weed, and a small bed. That's all she needs for a daily bustle, which she shares with a friend.
Mi lẹ́ni kankan tó máa fún mi lówó bíbá torí máa tún fẹ́ send owó sí mọ́ mi. pé kọ́mọ mi fi jẹun kó lè má máa sunkún pé òun máa wá sọ́dọ̀ mi títorí ẹ̀ mú ìwà ní ghetto. Mo kí ń gbéyànjú yan méjì lọ tí màá fi wálé. 1,000. Just 3. Ó wù mí bẹ́ẹ̀ ìgbà tí kò sówó ni mọ́ mi fi ní pé ó yá kí má má jókòó nílé pé kí n lọ kọ́ṣẹ́. Mo wá lọ kọ́ṣẹ́ ìgbà tí mo ti gbà freedom mo rí pé kò sówó lọ́rùn ló jẹ́ kí n wá sígbà pé kí n wá owó tí bá rí kí n mú lọ sílé tá bá fẹ́ sọdún pé màá lọ sí freedom.
In Kaduna State, northwest Nigeria, I met another 17-year-old Zainab Aksan, not a real name. She says she's been a sex worker for more than 5 years now after she dropped out of school. She cheerfully tells me she was a bright student and won several competitions when she was in school. She says she would love to go back.
Somebody that put my passion, and I promise that person I will concentrate. I really want to go back to school. That's my own. Because even when I was in secondary school, I had a competition in the government Ministry of Women Affairs with Dangote International School.
In the popular community where she lived, named Rome, in the outskirts of Kaduna, many of the girls go to the city to operate. With their dreams shattered, many say they are doing this to survive. They often charge between 3,000 naira and 7,000 naira, which is approximately between $7 and $15 for their service. This is slightly higher compared to their counterparts in Lagos, who barely earn 2,000 naira per night. That's about $5. At this club named Empire, located at High Coast Kaduna, these young men are placing their orders of underage girls of their choice right from their phones, where the girls' pictures are displayed from websites. After making their choice, the girls are then contracted for a meetup. The underage sex trade is increasingly going digital in Nigeria, attracting more young people to it in the process.
You have parents who are not gainfully employed, they have children they have to take care of. So the challenges are enormous. And of course, there is also the issue of exploitation. Some people would want to use children just because it is cheaper to use children. They will not express any right or demand any right. So the idea of exploiting them. And that is the category that you can even classify child prostitution. Sometimes these children who are engaged in child prostitution, it is the kingpins, they even collect the money. They don't give the money to them. They don't engage the customers directly. There are other people that engage the customers, and at the end of the day, they decide to give the children how much they think is due them. So there are people who are also out there trying to take advantage of the vulnerability of children to be able to exploit them, to also be able to make money.
Although there is no particular law in Nigeria that prohibits child prostitution, the Sexual Offences Act in Section 7 of the Nigerian Constitution states that a person caught in an act which causes penetration with a child is guilty of a crime called defilement.
In Imo State, southeastern Nigeria, underage sex workers are in hot demand. At this popular brothel named Timaya, There are many of them here, and it is the main reason why many of the so-called city big boys patronize the place.
With their bonanza, okay, if you are ready, the girls, then they're ready for you. And so the matter be, we have black, we have apple breast, we have, cucumber breast, we have, bottle breast. But for here, what we appreciate here is apple breast. None of these girls get, bottle breast.
Once demolished in 2015, they have now split into 4 operating in 4 major parts in the state, namely Obinze by Futo Road, Avo, Irete, and World Bank Road.
There have been a lot of challenges in the area of reporting of prevalence of child labor in our society. We realize that there's the need to train these critical stakeholders. So we organize a reporting workshop, and we develop the template to educate the stakeholders, our labor officers in the 37 state offices. While they are going on inspection, they should be working towards ensuring that wherever they detect infraction of child labor, they should be reporting it, and they have been doing that.
A research conducted by Women Consortium of Nigeria in the period of 2014 to 2018 revealed that between April 2017 and September 2017, the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Person (NAPTIP) received 5 cases of recruitment of child for the purpose of prostitution. Unfortunately, none was fully investigated. Child rights advocates are now pushing for the creation of the National Child Protection and Enforcement Agency to check the rapidly growing child sex trade. But stories like that of Tokwe Lasisi and Zainab Aksan clearly show that issues of underage sex trade in Nigeria are steeped in poverty and broken family values. Unfortunately, with no societal support system, the victims are simply not able to rise above these problems.
On the profile interview segments this week, I will be speaking with the Deputy National President of Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, Comrade Oyin Consola Olasonye. She tells me there is a need to promote child rights policies, and also the provision of decent work for adults can further reduce the spread of the vice of child prostitution in Nigeria and in Africa. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you. You are welcome.
What's your view about child labor in Nigeria as the country is yet to eradicate this trend?
We have various policies, various acts in Nigeria that act as a sort of policy to prevent child labor act. But the unfortunate thing is this: the policies are so many that they are not coordinated, and there is no necessary enforcement put in place. So definitely is a very sore point that keep on reoccurring. It's something we have not been eradicated, despite that a lot of things have been put in place to eradicate it.
Would you say that there are enough policy in the country to tackle this vice?
Yes, we have a lot of policies. Almost all conventions, ILO Convention on Child Labor or Child Rights, has been ratified by Nigeria and most African countries. It will be of note that one of the conventions that all nations ratify is Convention 168 that talks about child rights. So definitely we have enough. It is the implementation and the enforcement that is the problem.
So what do you think can be done in terms of implementation?
Let me give you an example. We have Child Educational Act, we have Child Rights Act, and we have the ILO Convention that eradicates forced labor. Now, in the Educational Act, every Nigerian children is entitled to education, public education, free, that means free education, up to JSS. up to their 15 years of age. Nothing has been done about that. Now we have this Nigerian Child Right Act that speaks about that they shouldn't be allowed to work in any hazardous area, but nothing was used to define what makes a job hazardous. Unfortunately, the Nigerian Labour Act specifies that a child that is 12 years old can work. While the Act, the Child Right Act, specify that they must be 18 before they work. Though there has never been any coordination among these two policies. So when you want to accuse somebody of making somebody that is a young worker to work, which of these law will define who is a young worker? Is it the Nigerian Labour Act that says from age 12? Or is it the right that says from age 18? So the problem we have is that, one, there's no coordination. We lack coordination of policies, different policies. Then when it comes to, like, for example, we put it in the right that no child can be allowed to work in any military setup. But we did not put it in a situation, because the way we define military setup, we define it based on states. That is Federal Republic of Nigerian Military, Federal Republic of Nigerian Police, but we did not define it to the extent of private police. So it means that Nigerian youth can be used as youth military officers. Don't let me use the word military, sorry. As somebody that can be used as a child soldier. Because the law that we put in place only talk that they can be used by the military forces in Nigeria and police force. But did not say they can be used for Boko Haram. Did not say they cannot be used by maybe Odua People's Congress or Hamese or Arewa Youth. So it means we are giving private institutions power that they can still use. So if you look at all the rights, we have all the necessary things put in place. But the way we coordinated them, the way we enforced them, did not give the biting teeth, the necessary enforcement into it. So we have the laws, is the enforcement that I believe is not adequate enough.
From your experience, can you tell us what is the worst form of child labor in the country?
We have two. We have the sexual stroke domestic workers, and we also have children trading, that they are being made to trade even during school period when we know we have educational act in place. We had the alumanjeries to the children beggars, because they too, according to the policies that put alumanjeri in place, I think it is about being educated by a Quranic teacher. But this same Quranic teacher, we ask them to go begging. So if you had the population of Nigerian children that are in the alumanjeri series, that are under alumanjeri, you had the straight traders in all cities of Nigeria. You had those that are at home doing domestic work, house girl, house assistants, and you had those that are into sexual act, not minding those that are being trafficking for slavery. Then you realize that almost 70 to 75% of Nigerian children are under one forced labor or the other.
The number of underage children earning their livelihood as child sex workers is on the rise. As an experienced labor leader, what do you think is the reason why a child would want to sell her body in exchange of money? And what do you think is the solution to eradicate this vice?
One, lack of education. Because these children, we are all sitting on a time bomb in Nigeria. Majority of our children are becoming depressed and frustrated. They don't have the education. Some are undereducated. Some are not without education at all. So they don't know their rights because they don't have the education. Then poverty. That is what encourage our parents to allow us. The Child Rights Act specify that everything, including accommodation, including shelter, let me put it under shelter, accommodation, good health should be provided for Nigerian youth. But you see, most of them, they are homeless. They are sleeping anywhere. They don't have parental care. They don't have right to education. They don't have it to health care. So these are the issues. So what we need to do actually is number one. I believe if all of them, if we enforce the Educational Act, that says all Nigerians up to age 15 is entitled to education. And where it is in the public department, it is free. Then you will see that they will have the necessary basic upon which they can build whatever skill. If they don't want to continue their education, even if they are going to learn anything, any vocation, they should be able to read and write. At least they will write receipts, they will count money, they will issue measurements, and they should be able to think of what to do to make them acceptable and to be a professional in their chosen vocation. So until we decide to be giving Nigerian children education and we allow them access to some free basic needs like no poverty, they have the right to eat, they have the right to shelter, they have the right to good health care, we are going to have issues.
How would you rate the ratification campaign of Convention 182 in Nigeria and Africa? Are there sanctions? And do you think that people who really perpetrate this evil see it as a criminal offense?
We thank God that Nigeria really ratified that convention. But when it comes to implementation and enforcement, we are way below. For example, throughout 2017, Nigerian government through the Federal Ministry of Labor, we are able to only pick less than 5,000 Nigerian youths that are suffering from working in such conditions. But you know, from the population of Nigeria, most of our population, at least 65% of our population is made of youth. And we all know the reality on ground. So you realize that the inspectors are not enough. And they don't have enough tools and equipment to be able to monitor. If we are waiting for people to come and notify us when they are suffering through hazardous job, it will not be easy because most of the time, because of poverty, people voluntarily go into all these factories that they needed work. So they may not even know they are right. And we don't have enough data in Nigeria with which even the inspectors can work with. Because most of the factories that are being registered, most of the time, nobody visited all these factories. So what they normally do is that when you are registering someone, it's just like opening bank account. They expect you to bring a utility bill so that they will be able to know that there is an area like that exists. But who says that you can't just get any utility bill and bring it there? So when it comes to implementation, when it comes to enforcement, we have the necessary convention, but we are not implementing enough because we don't, for example, sexual workers, most of them are inside buildings that are not registered as brothels or hotels. So how will somebody be there to monitor or to enforce such law there? So until we have the necessary data and all of us, all Nigerians, decide now this for once to implement together, that we don't necessarily wait for Ministry of Labor. Apart from Ministry of Labor, the law specifies that Nigerian police force, then there is a body set up against trafficking and child labor. So there are almost about 4 institutions that are to monitor. So at times you become confused that where did one's rights ends and where did it stop? Who do you report such a situation to? When it comes to companies, organizations, factories, you have to report to Ministry of Labor. When it comes to sexual workers, trafficking, you report to NAPI. But how many people know where they are and how to get across to them? So there is still a sort of coordination of the principles, the institutions, and the right. That is, and the policy. That is where we'll be able to move forward better.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program. And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember, labor creates wealth.